Hey everybody, Brad Johnson here. Welcome to another episode of Brad's Vlog. So, this vlog is not going to be anywhere near as intense as the past two that I did. The two emotional nukes relating to those two past episodes. But again, that was all part of something that I know I needed to work through. A lot of healing work has been done. Just being able to get a lot of that, past debris, relationship information out of the closet, so to speak. And I'm very, very happy that it came out in the way it did. It was all part, again, of moving forward. And that, again, when you, look in front of a camera and you're sharing a lot of yourself, it's intense. It sometimes can be a little bit scary as well, too. But there's also a great reward out of it. There's the idea about being able to be vulnerable, being open, talking more about the person behind a lot of the messages, right? And this is something that I would love to see more people, again, who are sharing some great information, who may have a lot of knowledge in their hearts as well too, but being able to just have something where they know that they can come out, they can be vulnerable, and they can show their human sides, right? And this is really what I wanted to talk about today in this vlog, was about inner disclosure, right? Now, of course, where we're going on the planet, 2019 is going to be a really, really intense year. In fact, probably around this week, I'll be channeling Adronis, and Adronis will be talking about the 2019 year. And so again, that'll most likely be coming up this week. But there has been a lot of people just letting everything out, right? Sharing all of this. We've really gotten to the point now where people can accuse or share information about how this person did this to them or that person did that to them, and it becomes a big shakeup. And of course, that becomes a media-worthy story. So that becomes popular in mainstream media, that becomes popular in social media, about how people are just wanting to unleash and say, this person did this to me, or that person did that to me, etc. And of course, this is all part of where we're going. Right, because the one thing that humanity does so well is push everything to the extremes, right? So when we have the idea of a person being able to share themselves, letting everything out, then of course this inspires more people. More people become aware to go to a camera and start to share, expose, create, conjure these ideas as well too. Some are genuine, some are not. But again, we go to these extremes because it's a trend, right? But I just remember back in the times when this wasn't a trend, right? When we were able to actually look at the camera and know that we were able to become vulnerable and share information before there was any of these particular types of movements, before there was any of these types of fiascos. But now that that's becoming much more of a trend within ourselves, we're seeing that now we're opening up to deeper personal disclosure that's taking place. So that's really where humanity, that's where the earth is now currently aligned to, is being able to let things out, to expose, to being able to become vulnerable. Again, for some, it may just be the idea of attempting to get attention, right? They say that they want to get this out, and they may make up stories, right? So it's a very back and forth, like ping pong ball type situation with people. But really, when you listen to people and they do come out and they share their vulnerabilities, and you just feel their heart at the same time that they're speaking, you know that there's something unique there. And really, when you're looking at this, it's not about trying to point a finger at another person. That certainly wasn't my intention in the past two vlogs, was to point my finger at my ex or ex-wife or anything of that nature. But being able to share what I've gone through, right? Because it's not about pointing fingers. It's not about blaming another person. I asked for everything that happened to me, right? Whether I was aware of it or not, that's what took place. And I'm very, very thankful for those experiences. I'm very, very thankful for those past relationships, because that has helped me to become a much better person, a much wiser person, a person who is able to come in front of this camera and being able to share himself a lot more with all of you. And I know there's a lot of people doing that as well too. But then again, I see some people that don't want to be vulnerable, who don't want to be in front of the camera and not really want to share their human side. And it's just all about the aspect of spiritual knowledge and spiritual information, and they really hide behind that type of spiritual knowledge. And that's what I used to think that I had to do. Like, oh, it's not about me, it's not about this information. I just have to share the knowledge, share this, share that, share what Adronis teaches, share the universal mind, whatever it is, and not worry so much about me, right? Really, that becomes an arrogance. And I was very much arrogant by not being able to share much of my human side with a lot of you. So, of course, all of that has changed. But yes, we really get caught up into that idea of arrogance and or ignorance, about feeling that, we're just here to share knowledge, we're not here to share the inside of ourselves, we're not here to share our hearts. That's the most important thing, right? Inner disclosure is so, so important, not just for teachers or knowledge seekers or anything of that nature, but for every man, woman, and child, right? To being able to be vulnerable, to being able to share yourself, to be openly honest, right? Even if you're rolling a camera and you're just talking to the camera and you don't ever intend to air it on social media in any way, good, you don't have to, right? But you're being able to hear your own voice. You're being able to share your own thoughts. You're being able to share your own feelings. That's very, very important. And so this is why I want to share a lot about inner disclosure, is that we are, again, attempting to understand what it is to be human. We're attempting to understand more about what goes beyond, the spiritual stuff that we get. There's thousands of people, millions of people that will write up articles and saying, we're going into great shifts of love and light, we're moving past shadows, we're all interconnected, we're all one. Yes, that's certainly true. But the whole idea really is putting these things into practice, right? There's millions of people, billions of people that know a lot about this spiritual information. There are very few people who actually apply it properly, who are actually able to discipline it, who are actually able to work with it, and actually seeing how they're reshaping their reality, right? And, again, I go on Facebook, I go on YouTube, I see a lot of these people sharing a lot of information, right? And it sounds good, it sounds really good, but then I don't see them applying it, right? It's like you can look into their words and you see they're not practicing this. They're not applying it, they're not actually being able to feel that 180-degree shift and see that how malleable reality is. How malleable when you get into the inner spirit of yourself and how you're able to guide your life in that way. I don't see that a lot, right? It's very, very few people that actually take this spiritual knowledge and apply it. And I'm referring to a lot of the spiritual teachers as well, too. Again, they share some great stuff. They're very charismatic. They show a lot of promise. They show a lot of care and emotion with what they're sharing. But I can tell just by looking in their eyes, they're not applying this. This sounds good. Maybe I'll get a lot of people on my YouTube. Maybe I'll get a lot of people on Facebook. Maybe I'll get a lot of followers in that particular way, because I'll continue to spew a lot of this over and over and over and over again. And people who have these hundreds of thousands of people that, again, follow them and put them on a pedestal, right? And feel that they're doing all this inner work when they're really not doing hardly anything at all, right? We just want to really be able to use our discernment with that. People, again, will want to say something very charismatically, say something very powerfully, right? And basically will want to say, don't follow anybody else, just follow me, right? Just follow what I say, follow what I do what I say, and then you'll see yourself enlightening yourself. And that's the biggest bunch of crap there is, right? I can only speak from my own case. I would never, ever tell any of you what to do, right? How to live your life, how to ignore what your heart is saying and just go into following me and listen to Adronis only, and only listen to the universe, and in regards to how I put it, right? To hell with what you think in your hearts, or to following your own inner guidance. That's the biggest trap. That's like not just a red flag, that's like the deepest, darkest red flag you can possibly imagine. And you want to be careful with that, right? Even when I'm looking at everything that I'm doing, right? And even though I say, New Earth Teachings, right, or International Spiritual Teacher, I'm not really here as a teacher. You know, my goal is really just holding up a mirror and showing it to you, right? Being a mirror guide. And I'm not here to say this is the way that things have to be, this is the way that things are, because there's some times where I'm putting up videos and some people say, oh, Brad, are you sure this is right? What's going on here? Something doesn't feel right, blah, 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 blah. And I don't know if I agree with what you say. You don't have to agree with me, right? It's not about agreeing or disagreeing, right? If what I share on the videos feels good to you guys, great. If you don't like it, you want to throw it away, great. Go ahead and toss it, right? But it's not in the idea of feeling that, you know, I have to take care of all of you guys because you can't take care of yourselves, right? That becomes a cult. That becomes, again, manipulation, right? And that's not what any of the stuff that I do here is about. It's all just sharing. What really just brings the most joy out of me is that when I'm going into the state, whether I'm communicating with Adronis, whether I'm connecting with the Akashic Records, the Universal Mind, and I start sharing this information and I put it out. That's joyful to me, right? I enjoy doing that. I love being able to do that. But again, when I see so many people that just say, you gotta believe me, this is it. I mean, you have to just pay attention to what I'm saying here, because this is it, and if you don't do what I say, then you're all toast, right? And that becomes arrogance. That becomes ignorance, right? Because we're looking at something that has so many facets to itself, and we all have the answers within ourselves. I can never provide you guys with answers, right? No spiritual teacher, no guru, no bodhisattva, right? Nothing of that nature can tell you, you know, what's best for you. That's impossible, right? What makes those quote-unquote guides so great is that they are existing truly by being a mirror. They hold a mirror in front of you, and they don't even really say anything. They're just showing you what you need to see about yourself, right? That's basically how I see the work that I do, is I'm saying, hey, I'm here. Here's a mirror for you, man. Look deeper into it. And I'll just help you to look at it a little bit more. Look around the center. Look about here. Look a little more deeper here. And this is exactly what you're going to be noticing. And then people transform with that because you're being that pure mirror, right? You're being that pure, open mirror connection to them. That's great. That's brilliant. But again, we just want to really be in a particular point of time right now where we're having our discernment in the highest levels possible, right? People are really just panicking under a lot of these teachings, a lot of these practices, a lot of these methods and understandings. They adopt the aspect of spiritual identity, and they feel that if I just keep saying this mantra, if I keep saying this sutra, then I'm going to be okay, right? It becomes a blanket, it becomes a security blanket, a cloak in that way. And the key here is inner disclosure, right? Inner disclose yourself. How are you feeling right now? What are you going through right now? What's your heart telling you? What are your feelings telling you? What emotions are coming up? What traumas are starting to happen here? What can you do in your own unique way to feel great that you're able to share this, that you're able to expose it, right? It doesn't have to be in front of 1,000 people. It doesn't even have to be in front of another person. It can be on a notebook. It can be on a camera that you're just sharing and letting it out in a way that you feel is productive for you to let out that inner disclosure, right? And this is what I think is so important right now. Again, my perspective, you guys don't have to believe me, right? But when you're really going deep inside, this is reflecting what the earth is going through right now. Things are being exposed. Adronis has said between 2018 2024, it's the span of change. And through that span of change, we're going into the garden and we're ripping out the weeds, right? We're pulling out the roots and we're showing it to each other. Those weeds, those roots, aren't something outside. It's within ourselves. We're pulling out these roots. We're pulling out this, big nasty stuff that's coming out of our garden bed, and we're saying, here, look at this, right? And now moving into 2019, it's going to become even more intense, right? 2019 is going to be one majorly intense year. It is a year where we are going to pull out the bullhorns, right? We're going to pull out the megaphones, and we're going to start talking. We're going to start sharing. We're going to start exposing. It is probably going to be the most active year out of any other year to come. So Adronis is going to talk more about that again in the times ahead, hopefully this week. if I can get around to it. But I'm pretty sure I can get around to it. So I'd say it's about 90% sure that I'll get the 2019 year video out with Adronos, because I know it'll be absolutely fantastic. But again, that's really where we're going. We're pulling out those large bullhorns. We're pulling out those megaphones, and we're going to start speaking. We're going to start talking. And this is going to reflect everywhere. This is going to reflect in education. This is going to reflect in politics. This is going to reflect in finances. This is going to reflect in every particular platform of our existence here, of what we know existence to be. In reality, things are going to start being exposed. Things are going to start feeling, well, first, very ugly, right? It's great that I'm seeing a lot of people excited about the times that are ahead. When I did the Earth Intelligence Report here just a couple of days ago, some people were getting pretty mad at me because I was talking a lot about politics, right, in that particular transmission. And all I can say is that, guys, when I do the Earth Intelligence Report, I go into many of the facets, right? A lot of people don't like talking politics. I certainly don't, right? But I know that that is part of the facet that is allowing us to expand, coming into a deeper realization of where we're going as a collective. And a lot of that is political information, right? But I'm not going to go, head over heels deep into it. But there are going to be energies that will be talking about it, right? When I look into the Earth Intelligence Report, I'm connecting to my inner guidance, I'm connecting to the Earth Collective Intelligence, and I'm sharing this information. And that's, again, what it is. It's a sharing, right? And this information comes out. And there's a lot of talk about, the judge coming onto the Supreme Court, and people backlashed about that, saying, "Oh, Brad, are you trying to be on Trump's side? Are you trying to be part of the Trump administration? Or are you on this guy's side? This guy's a nutcase, blah, blah." And I said, you guys are absolutely right, right? Trump is no angel by himself. With all due respect, he's probably one of the biggest assholes you ever meet. This Kavanaugh guy, probably one of the biggest assholes you ever meet as well, too. But that's what you want, right? Everything that's taking place right now is the implosion of the political system, right? When you're looking at politics, what is going to dissolve that old corrupt political system are corrupt politics themselves. They will be like angry dogs just fighting over each other and just bashing each other to bits. They'll make social media frenzies, mainstream media frenzies. Everything will be a frenzy pertaining to that. Guess what you do? Back away and let the dogs fight, right? The dogs are tearing each other apart. And, if you try to get involved, they'll just come to you and tear you apart, right? You have to let this whole, political structure as it is right now die. And in order for that to happen, inner disclosure takes place, right? We're looking at the mechanics about what's actually taking place on a political front here. We're not looking into the idea of feeling that I'm getting so involved with the melodrama. I'm getting so involved with the story about what's taking place with this judge and what Trump's doing and blah, blah, blah. It's all worthless, melodramatic crap, right? And again, as soon as you get involved with that, you're just noticing yourself just sinking, right? It's like you become solid. It's like you become completely rough, right? You understand that you're kind of like looking at this thing with rabbit ears, right? You're not hopping over to find out what's going on. You're just hearing it with those really good ears that you have on your head. And that's the idea, is that you're just being an observer. You're letting this idea of the political system die, right? And it is going to die. It will die, most definitely. And it's going to be rebuilt. It's going to be restructured. Perhaps not even into the idea of the type of politics that we understand. But the government is eventually going to be in alignment to serve the people. It is not going to be the other way around. The idea of those corporations where they felt that they have come first and that they have more value than a human being, that's going to die, right? All of this is going to be destroyed. All of it is going to be self-imploded. And we just have to allow it to happen. In the meantime, work on yourselves. Develop yourselves. Go into your own inner disclosure. Enjoy who you're becoming out of this whole ordeal. It's not just politics, right? It can function on anything. It can function on educational levels. It can function on personal relationships, families, friendships, career, whatever it may be. All of these things are being dissected right now. Is this my true self? Is this who I really am? No, it's not. Okay, then I'm going to let it out. I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to inner disclose it within myself. I'm going to realize what I'm holding on to, and I'm going to replace it with something that is compassionate, something that's loving and true to myself. And I will let this go. So again, I have to hold that big mirror up and look at myself and saying, no, I don't want this. This is not who I am anymore. It's coming out. Pulling out the weeds. Pulling out the roots. That's where we are as a people right now. So again, it's so important. Again, my recommendation, my sharing, my perspective, it's so important to look into pulling out the weeds, pulling out the roots of your own garden, and starting to look at that. And again, thanking all of those roots, all of those weeds that you pull out for sharing itself with you. Because now you've grown wiser. Now you've grown stronger. Now you've grown more courageous. Now you've been able to bring in more love because you've seen all of the lack of yourself. But again, as soon as we see a lot of these things on mainstream media, on social media, and people accusing others, and whatever it may be, we get pulled in, right? We just go right into it and say, oh, this isn't fair, they should be doing this, and this should be happening, etc., etc. And you want to be mindful of that. You want to catch yourself doing that. Pull back, right? Don't get yourself involved with the melodrama. Right? If you're getting involved with the melodrama, you're feeling yourself sinking. You're attaching emotions upon yourself that do not need to be attached. Right? Look at these things, and instead, why not offer a blessing? Offer love and compassion to whoever it may be, whether it's a person who's a victim, whether it's a person who's an accuser, whatever it may be. Compassion is the essence of bringing yourself into the next dimension, right? Is to become a compassionate person. Even though that, yes, there's going to be people that are doing horrible things, awful things in that particular way, have done some really nasty things, pedogate and all of this stuff. Absolutely. You know, that's a rebound of their own particular energy, and they are going to receive that particular type of karmic rebound. That's unavoidable, but nonetheless, rather than focusing on an individual and saying, oh, they did this and they did that, look at the entire circle of the situation and bless the circle, right? Because everything will come together when there is much more of a blessing and a support of that circle, not of an individual who may be an accuser, but just looking at the circle of the environment and being able to bless it in that way. And that's actually what's going to bring about clarity to a lot of other things that are interconnected to that circle. Everything's connected to something else, right? And this again is the power of your inner disclosure. The power of you being able to work with yourself and exercising that level of compassion. May this entire situation be brought together with compassion, brought together with love, and brought together with harmony. That's what you're doing here. That's you being a worker, right? That's you being a compassion worker. So again, for those people who have done horrible things, absolutely, it's going to rebound. That's just part of the nature, right? When you're working together with that kind of dark magic, that's like an Aikido principle, right? You're throwing all this out, it's going to come hit you back, right? But you're still keeping space together with compassion so that it's not leaking out to another person, it's not causing more of a ruckus in that particular way, it's not spreading like a horrifying virus, right? You're containing it, and you're putting this compassion energy around the situation and saying whatever needs to happen, may it be sorted out, but may nobody else that has nothing to do with this be involved with this tragic situation. Let's put compassion around it, right? So you're putting compassion around people, not within them, but around them, as that environment circle is being fueled with all of this compassion energy, so nothing leaks, so nothing relating to other people is having all of this stuff leaked out, and again infecting other people like a virus because they get involved with so much of the melodrama, right? That has the ability to be bypassed. That has the ability to be transcended when you start working deeper with the compassion levels of yourself. The idea here is to become as transparent as you feel you can, right? Like I said, do it in any way that you feel is constructive to letting your inner disclosure out, right? For me, it was letting out old relationships. For me, it was getting past those things and looking into seeing what I could do, how I could become, you know, this person that I am right now, who I love being. Do I have challenges still? Of course, absolutely. Heart still needs a lot of work, right? My own personal self still needs a lot of work as well too, but I'm grateful for the challenges ahead. And I'm grateful for everything that's happening on the planet right now, because it's showing me more about what's existing within myself. And it's being played out by my collective, right? Just like it's being played out with your collective, right? You have your own collective. We have our own collectives. And again, we may experience the same type of people, but we all experience a different essence within that collective, and that collective becomes yours, right? Play with that collective. Look into what it's attempting to tell you as a means of helping you to become more transparent with your inner disclosure. So thank you, everybody, for joining me for another episode of Brad's Vlog, and I'm looking forward to the next one very soon. Wishing you all the best wherever you are in the world. Take care. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Goodbye.